Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about an artist called Cheri Dennis, and this is going to be the first of many videos in a new series called Spotlight. And this is where I'll talk about artists and kind of their journey through music and where they are now. So this all came about because I saw the interview that BET did with Cheri, which is on YouTube, which I'll link in after this video. And it really reminded me of kind of what Cheri had brought to the industry at the time, which was something quite fresh. And I feel as though looking at, after watching the interview, that Cheri was kind of sold short a little bit on the experience that she had in the music industry, and I just want to kind of talk about that and give some of my thoughts as well. So to start off, Cheri was actually born on August the 7th, 1979. She's an American R&B singer from Ohio. When Cheri initially got into the music industry, and she mentioned this on the interview, she was actually part of a girl group called Spoiled. I think that's how you say it. But Cheri quickly realised that, when she was in the group, she didn't really fit. So she was arguing with a few of the girls, and, they were young girls. So I imagine that, arguments came up. But they were arguing, and Cheri realised that she wanted to be a solo artist. So when the group broke up, Cheri moved from Ohio to New York, and that's where she kind of started to run into some bigger names. And she actually met P. Diddy, or Puff Daddy as he was known at the time. And this is how Cheri kind of got into Bad Boy Records. So she first appeared on Mace, the rapper Mace, his 3 tracks off his album called Double Up. The first track was called No Matter What, second track was called All I Ever Wanted, and the third track was called If You Want to Party. All 3 tracks from his 1999 album Double Up. Then Cheri would go out on mini tours or events with Bad Boy, and she'd start singing. So she briefly appeared on P. Diddy, or Puff Daddy I should say, Forever album back in 1999, and the track was called Is This the End Part 2. And then in 2001, she actually got signed to Bad Boy, and she released her first solo track called So Complete. And this track featured on the P. Diddy and the Bad Boy Family album, The Saga Continues. Now this was where I really discovered Cheri. So I remember hearing this track when I was about 16, I think, 17. And I really liked it from the start. It's almost got that kind of reggae feel to it when you listen to it. And those of you that have heard the track, I will try and link it in, but YouTube's kind of been weird at the minute with blocking videos. But it sounds like a reggae influenced kind of R&B track. That's how I would describe it. But it's a really, really good song, really good R&B song, and this really helped perpetuate and push Cheri's name in the industry. Then in 2005, Cheri released her first single called I Love You, and again, I really like this song. It really showcased Cheri's vocal range, but also it showed that she was a little bit more diverse. I think So Complete was quite a mellow, heavy R&B song, whereas I Love You was more up-tempo. The track itself was produced by Ryan Leslie, who went on to produce tracks with Cassie, amongst other artists. But Ryan Leslie produced I Love You in 2005. And then in the interview, and this is what I didn't realise, and I really, really like the fact when artists speak out and talk about their experiences from behind the scenes, because as a consumer of the music, you would never know any of this. So Cheri released her second single, Portrait of Love, and this one didn't do so well, so it peaked at 55 on the Billboard 100, which isn't bad. But 55 isn't really going to get anywhere in terms of gaining traction or popularity or anything like that. And obviously back then, especially Bad Boy and record labels were really looking for sales. So at the time 55 probably wasn't the best. But Cheri actually said, on the interview that she really didn't want to, put this song out. Now, I'm not sure if she's just saying that because it tanked or if she genuinely felt like that. I don't see any reason why she would, fabricate stories now. So it's quite possible that she didn't want to put it out. And I suspect a lot of artists, even current artists, put out music that they necessarily don't agree with, or they're forced to put out by the labels. Recent examples of this I think of are Katy Perry, Witness, and she's never actually come out and said this, by the way, but just based on how she was through that whole Witness era, it was quite evident that Katy Perry wasn't feeling it. Gwen Stefani said it about some of her solo music, that she was forced to. I think it was the second album that Gwen Stefani put out. She said her record label forced her to do that, so it was contract and she had to do it. Kelly Rowland has said similar things, that a lot of the music that she's put out isn't songs that she would want to do, or they were heavily critiqued by the record label. So it's interesting to kind of hear the artist come out and speak about that. So Cheri's second single, like I said, Portrait of Love, came out, and then the debut album In and Out of Love was then released. Now this is interesting because when the album came out, I remember hearing it and thinking that it didn't sound cohesive. And when I say that, I mean it was all R&B, but some of the songs sounded older than other songs, and tracks like So Complete were on there, and these songs, like I said, were back from like 2001. So bearing in mind we're now in 2008, and her debut album's just dropping, it's weird for me to hear a 7-year-old song on a debut album. And there were a lot of different songs on the album. Act Like You Know was one of my favourites, so that was produced by Timbaland, and that was more of an up-tempo R&B song. There was a track called Showdown, which was more of a slow jam, which I really liked as well. But all of these songs sounded like they were recorded over different points or different periods of time. So like I said, it didn't feel like a cohesive album. And I've also got a track called Ooh La La, which wasn't on the album, but I think it was for a reality TV show, which was called Making the Band, which I don't think it came over in the UK. It might have, I might be wrong. But I know it was Diddy's reality TV show where he was going to go and scout out talent, and the winners would then record this song, and Ooh La La was the theme tune or the theme track for the show. But Cheri originally recorded it, and then I think it was done by Danny Tikane after when they won. So that was quite interesting. But I've got Cheri's version as well, which again is really, really good. Then the last track off the album was called Pretend. Now I didn't even realise until I was researching for this video that Cheri had released Pretend. I don't remember her talking about it in the BET interview. I might be wrong, I might have missed that part. But she released a track called Pretend, which wasn't really my jam. And I think at this point Cheri and even probably the record label had given up in terms of pushing this album and pushing her as an artist. So I think this was mainly put out just because it was already made and it was easy just to kind of put it out as a third single and then kind of put the album to bed. So that's quite a shame. I do feel as though there was a lot more potential. Some of the interesting features of the album though was a track called Dropping Out of Love, which I really liked as well. This was the same instrumental as Biggie's and 112 Sky's the Limit. So those of you that know R&B and old school rap will definitely know what I'm talking about. And that was actually a sample of another track called My Flame by Bobby Caldwell and D-Train's Keep On. So I know I've heard of D-Train. I think they're like a 70s band. I have no idea who Bobby Caldwell is. But again, if you know, please drop a comment below. And the actual intro from Cheri's debut album was the same intro from P. Diddy and the Bad Boy Family's The Saga Continues album, but it was actually the 14th track called Incomplete, and it was an interlude. So that was quite interesting as well, that she had that interlude moved over to her debut album, and then obviously So Complete was put on there as well. So that was quite interesting. in the interview itself, Cheri alluded to a bit of mismanagement with Bad Boy. So it was interesting, like I said, to see what artists kind of go through and kind of hear the stories from behind the scenes. And I remember watching Bad Boy go through this transition, because historically they'd had artists like Lil' Kim, Biggie, P. Diddy, Loon, Total, 112, Mace, G-Dep. So they had a lot of established artists or artists that were up and coming. And they kind of went from those group of people to more of a commercial, I don't want to say commercial sound, but more commercially relatable artists. And I think you'll get what I'm saying with that. So artists like Dream, that was a girl group from, I think, Making the Band as well, but I had both their albums. Danity Kane, who obviously went on to do great things. Cassie, we all know. I'm talking about, the later 2000s at this point, but they really started to transition to maybe more of a white group or white artists. Donnie Klang was another one. He was signed to Bad Boy for a while. And, P. Diddy still has some black artists signed, but it's nowhere near as many as he used to have. So that was quite interesting as well. And I feel as though Cheri got caught in that crossfire where, she wasn't really popping to be someone to be held onto, but at the same time she still had a lot to give, and I don't think she really had the opportunity to do that. So that's a bit of a shame. Recently Cheri has been working on her sophomore album, which I've been reading. So she's worked with a producer called Milo X, and he worked on Cheri's EP. So Cheri actually released an EP, I think it was back in like 2013, maybe 2012, 2013, called the Garden of Eden, and that was, I think it had about 3 or 4 tracks on, and some of those were very different to what Cheri Dennis had put out before. It was under the name Cheri Coke, and I don't know if it's on Apple Music or iTunes or anything like that, but have a look on Google, you'll find it. And so that was quite interesting. It sounded quite experimental. But when I listen to Milo X's current stuff, it makes a lot of sense. So he produced Beyonce's Hold Up and Sorry as well, and they're more reggae influenced. And when you hear the Garden of Eden, it kind of makes sense. It's very there's a lot of percussion, a lot of woodwind instruments, and it's a good album. It's a good little EP, but I think it really gave Cheri the freedom to kind of do what she wanted to do. So he's apparently working with Cheri on her sophomore album called X Coke. I think that's how you meant to say it. It's X/Coke, and that's scheduled for 2020. So I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited to kind of hear what Cheri's up to now. She's obviously more mature. I found out she'd obviously had a baby, so she's done a lot. So it'd be interesting to kind of see where she was versus where she is now. And I really like it when artists who have gone for quite a while, they've gone to, have kids or get married or just live life, and then they kind of come back to the music industry years later to see how they've evolved and how they've changed. So I've always find that really interesting, so I'm excited for that as well. So that's the end of today's video. Let me know in the comments below, did you enjoy the interview with BET that Cheri did? And if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button to be notified of when I next upload, and also smash the like button as well if you enjoyed the content in today's video. So as I mentioned, I want to start making Spotlight more of a series. So I'll probably start off with smaller artists, and then I'll get bigger as time goes on. I have already started researching some other videos, but as you can expect, artists like Beyonce, Janet Jackson, they've been going for decades, so the videos will be longer, and going forward I'll probably end up putting them out in different parts, just to make it a little bit more easy to digest. But yeah, if you want me to cover any other artists, whether it's ones that have disappeared from the music industry, or current artists, please drop a comment below and let me know, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.